This video is a simple demonstration of vectors. We'll cover their creation, accessing them, displaying them, and multiplying elements within vectors. So to be able to use vectors, make sure you include system.numerics namespace. And let's get started. The first thing we want to do is create the vector. So to create the vector, we're going to use the vector class. Sorry, my caps lock is on. The vector class, and we want to specify the data type that we would like this to actually hold integer values. So I'm going to make it an integer and then give your vector a name. In this case, I'm putting the name vector. And then what we want to do is create a new object of the vector and initialize it with some specified values as we would like. Now, what we want to do is we want to create an array of integers with the values that we would like. So I'm going to put in the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's it. That goes our vector. Now let's look at how we can access elements by their index. So we'll console.writeLine. Element at index. So let's say we want to display this value 3. So that really sits at index 0, 1, 2. So it's sitting at index 2. And let's concatenate that with whatever value that is sitting at index 2. So to access the index, so basically just putting the name of the vector, square brackets, and the number of the index at which the value is sitting at. Next, we want to display all elements in the vector, but before we do that, let's see what we get with this that we've written so far. So element at index, element at, I should say index 2 is the value 3, which is what we expected it to be. All right, let's look at displaying all elements in the vector. So I'm going to use a for loop. Let's first print out a message to the user. Maybe I'll do this. All elements in the vector. We'll use a for loop. And because we are looking at values, we're traversing a vector of integers, we want to make sure that that's actually going to be a vector of integer. Now, the reason why we're using this one is because we want to find out how many values that our vector has. So the count here is actually a static property that indicates the number of elements that the vector can hold. So in this case, we're using the count static property. Next, what we want to do is we want to print a message to the user. Line. Now here, what we're going to do is we're going to use a string that within that string will include placeholders for the variables that we want to print out. So to be able to do that, I'm going to put in the $sign before the string. Now this will allow me to insert variables directly into the string like this. So elements at index. So whatever's in the curly brace is going to be replaced by the actual value of whatever's I. And then we can access the vector. So this is going to be a placeholder that will be replaced by the value of the element at index I in the vector. Let me just run it and make sure I haven't made a silly mistake with semicolons, and it looks okay. So what we have here is all the elements are being displayed. So from index 0 all the way to 7, and the values are displayed from 1 to 8. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to multiply the elements in the vector. So we want to multiply each element by 2, and we want to store the result in another vector. So let's declare another vector of data type vector. It definitely is an integer. And let's call this multiplied vector. Hope I spelled it right. But basically, you just want to get the name of the first vector and multiply it by 2. So what it's going to do is it's going to multiply each value by 2 and initialize or create a new vector. Now let's display. Now, because the displaying of the vector, so if I actually basically just copy that same code, it's going to give me, sorry, I should have done this. Something like that. Right. So that's just printing out the second multiplied vector, where basically what it does is it stores values of the first vector, each element multiplied by 2. But there is something that we can improve in this one, in this program, is we've got the same code multiplied twice. So instead, I'm going to put this in a method that is going to be a static void display vector. Yeah, so this is basically just going to receive the vector that we want to print out. It's got to be an integer. And we'll give it the same name. It's going to be a local variable here anyway. And so all elements in the vector, and pretty much everything remains the same. It really comes down to calling out this method, passing in the arguments. And here, and this time we want to print out our first vector. So now we basically have two vectors, the vector itself and the multiplied vector. It should really pretty much print the same, but we've just improved the code such that we've got less code duplication. But output-wise, it still prints out the same details. It's just reducing code duplication. So I hope this was a helpful video to get you started with working with vectors, and I'll see you in the next one.